It was a quiet Saturday morning in Crestwood Park. Marcus Carter was just finishing his usual loop with his dog, a calm German shepherd named Max, when it started. He was on FaceTime with his daughter, Amaya, showing her the duck pond she used to love before she moved out for college. "See? Still there," he said, flipping the camera. "Max still dragging you around?" She joked. "Always," he chuckled. But as he walked past the yoga area near the trees, he felt it, the heavy, prickly stare. He glanced up. A woman, late 50s, white yoga mat rolled under one arm, was standing by the trail. She had on designer sunglasses, a tight ponytail, and a sour expression that said more than words ever could. She clutched her tiny white dog closer as Marcus passed, and then it happened. Her dog wiggled out of her grip and ran toward Max, yapping wildly. Marcus instinctively tugged Max's leash and calmly guided the smaller dog away with his foot. Not kicking, just a firm block to avoid a tangle. That's when the woman's mouth twisted. "Don't touch my dog," she snapped. Marcus stopped, blinked. "He came running at mine," he said simply, but she was already dialing her phone. "Yes, hello? Yes. I'm at Crestwood Park and there's a black man here with a large dog, and he just threatened me. He's aggressive and yelling. Yes, I feel very unsafe. Please send someone right away." Marcus stood still. He didn't yell, didn't raise his voice, just stood there, phone still in hand, Amaya still on the other end whispering, "Dad? What's going on?" A jogger slowed down nearby, watching. A couple with a stroller paused by the path. People were starting to notice. The woman paced in a tight circle, crying into the phone now, her voice rising. "He's trying to intimidate me." Max sat calmly beside Marcus, wagging his tail. He spoke finally, voice low and clear. "You just lied to the police, ma'am. That's a serious call." Her eyes narrowed. "I know what I saw," she hissed. Marcus looked around. Phones were out now, people recording. But he didn't look concerned. He looked ready. Because what she didn't know was simple. Marcus Carter wasn't just some guy at the park. He was the newly appointed chief of police. And this little Saturday stroll just became a reckoning. The sirens wailed before they were visible. 2 squad cars pulling up on the grass near the trail. The woman practically ran toward them, waving her arms like a stranded survivor. "Officers, over here. That's him," she shrieked, pointing at Marcus. He didn't move. Max sat beside him, still calm, still unaware his owner was being accused of God knows what in a city that should have known better. The first officer out was young, mid-20s, still trying to grow into his badge. The second, a bit older, his hand hovering near his holster. The woman grabbed the younger one by the sleeve. "He was aggressive. He yelled at me. His dog lunged. He threatened me." The older cop nodded and approached Marcus slowly, posture tense. "Sir, we received a call about a disturbance," he said, measured. Marcus didn't flinch. "Of course, I'll be happy to speak with you. But first, I'd like to know which of you is ranking officer." "That'd be me," said the older cop. Name tag reading R. Bennett. "And I need to ask you." "Lieutenant Bennett," Marcus interrupted calmly, reaching into his jacket. "Before you say anything else, I suggest you take a look at this." He pulled out his badge wallet and flipped it open. Chief Marcus Carter, Crestwood Police Department. Both officers froze. Bennett blinked once, then again. His mouth opened but no words came out. The younger cop took a step back like the air had shifted. The woman frowned. "Wait, what is that?" Marcus turned to her now. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. "Ma'am, I'm the chief of police. I've worked in this city for 22 years. I was enjoying my day off until you decided to falsely accuse me of a crime. A crime, I might add, punishable under Penal Code 148.3, false report of an emergency." Her jaw dropped. No, I didn't know who you were." "That's the problem," he said coldly. "You assumed who I wasn't." The bystanders were filming now. Phones angled steady. A jogger muttered, "She really messed up." The woman's face turned bright red, then pale. I didn't mean. It was just, your dog looked dangerous and you didn't say anything. I was on a video call with my daughter. You charged at me while I was walking on a public trail. I didn't raise my voice, didn't move toward you. All I did was exist in a space you thought I shouldn't be in. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry, I panicked. Marcus turned to the officers. Please make a note of this call. I want an incident report filed. I'll forward the video footage from my call and request witness statements. Bennett nodded quickly, shoulders stiff. Yes, Chief. And notify community relations. We're not sweeping this under the rug. The woman's hands trembled now. I didn't mean to. But you did, Marcus said, his tone razor sharp. And I want you to think about that every time you feel unsafe around someone who doesn't look like you. She looked like she might collapse. Marcus didn't wait for a response. He just turned, gave Max a light pat, and walked toward the bench near the fountain. He had work to do, and the whole city was about to hear about it. The video hit local news within the hour. Clips from multiple phones showed Marcus standing calm while the woman yelled. Another angle captured his badge reveal and the officer's frozen reactions. One clip, captured from a teenager sitting on a park bench, had over 2 million views by sundown. He didn't even raise his voice. That lady just started screaming out of nowhere. Then boom, he's the chief. Marcus sat in his office that evening, jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled up. His desk was covered with notes, statements, and emails. But what weighed on him heavier than the paperwork were the comments flooding his phone. Some supportive, some hateful, some calling for the woman's arrest. Some calling for his resignation, for making her feel threatened. Deputy Chief Ramirez walked in, her expression tight. Community Affairs is fielding calls nonstop. The mayor wants to talk. And the woman, Claire Donaldson, just released a public apology video through her lawyer. Marcus didn't even look up. Let me guess. Tears. Excuses. Says she's not racist. Just scared. Ramirez exhaled. She claims she has anxiety. Says the dog startled her. She startled herself? Marcus muttered. Ramirez handed him a file. But this might matter more. Marcus opened it. Inside were 3 separate 911 transcripts, each within the last 2 years, filed by Claire Donaldson. All 3 involved Black or Latino men in public spaces. 2 were dismissed as false reports. 1 led to an unnecessary detainment. A slow anger lit behind Marcus' eyes. She's a repeat caller. Ramirez nodded. And now the world knows it. Marcus stood, walking over to the window overlooking downtown Crestwood. Lights twinkled across the skyline. Peaceful, quiet, but he knew better. Remember why I took this job? He asked suddenly. Ramirez didn't answer. I wanted to change how this city sees people like me. How we train, how we patrol. Not just reactive policing, but proactive accountability. But this right here, he held up the file. This is why people don't trust us. Because one phone call from the right-looking person can bring a squad car and a gun to a man's head. He turned to her, voice rising. And even when that man's the damn police chief, even then it nearly plays out the same way. Imagine if I didn't show my badge. Imagine if I got frustrated. Imagine if I raised my voice just once. Ramirez's jaw clenched. You'd be in handcuffs. Or worse. A knock came at the door. Officer Bennett stepped in slowly, his expression conflicted. Chief, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. We should have asked more questions. I didn't recognize you at first. Marcus stared at him, unmoving. You shouldn't have needed to. Bennett lowered his gaze. Understood. Go ahead, Marcus said, waving him off. We've got a lot of retraining to do, and it starts now. As the door closed, Ramirez said quietly, You're not going to let this go, are you? No, Marcus said, eyes hard. She wanted to ruin a man's life with a phone call. Now she's going to learn what real accountability looks like. He sat back down and picked up his phone. Not for press, not for the mayor, but for his daughter. Hey, baby, he said as the call connected. You okay? Amaya asked. Her voice was quiet, but worried. Yeah, he replied softly. I'm just tired. But I need you to hear something. Okay. You saw how calm I was out there today, right? Yeah. Good. Because someday someone's gonna try that with you. Or your brother. And I need you to remember you don't have to yell to be powerful. You don't have to fight to win. Sometimes, standing still is the loudest thing you can do. Amaya didn't answer at first. Then, you sounded just like Grandpa. Marcus smiled faintly. Yeah, he whispered. He taught me that. 3 days later, Marcus stood in front of a crowded press conference. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward, pens ready. Behind him, a banner read, Crestwood PD, Rebuilding Trust, Restoring Truth. He took the podium slowly, scanning the room. My name is Marcus Carter. I serve as chief of police for this city. And 3 days ago, I was accused of being a threat for doing something millions of Americans do every day, walking my dog. He paused. The room was dead silent. I won't be pressing criminal charges against Ms. Donaldson, he continued, but I am filing a formal complaint for false reporting. And I'm introducing a new department-wide policy. Every false emergency call that involves race-based accusations will be investigated like the serious abuse of resources that it is. Murmurs swept across the room. And there's more, he said, his voice firm. We're implementing a city-wide initiative, Real Response. It stands for Racially Elevated Assumption Leads. Officers will be retrained to spot bias not just from within the department, but from callers who misuse emergency systems to weaponize their fear. He stepped away from the mic. Ramirez handed him a tablet. On it was a message from the city council. They just approved his proposal unanimously. Marcus gave a nod, then turned to the cameras. To anyone who's ever been profiled for the color of their skin, or the dog they walked, or the hoodie they wore, you matter. And we see you. As he walked off stage, he passed Bennett, standing quietly near the wings. Real policy, Bennett said under his breath. Not just press talk. That's the point, Marcus said. It's not about me. It's about who comes next. Outside, the crowd was waiting. Some clapped. Some just nodded, eyes shining. One young black boy, maybe 12, held up a homemade sign. My dad said we don't win these, but today we did. Marcus smiled and gave the boy a small salute. Then he got into his car. He didn't turn on the radio, didn't check his phone. He just drove, quietly, calmly, with purpose. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't arresting the person who lied on you. It's building a world where they can't do it again. Later that night, Marcus sat on his porch, the city's noise a distant hum behind the crickets. Max lay curled at his feet, and the porch light bathed everything in a soft amber glow. He looked down at his phone. One unread message from Amaya. You handled that like a king, Dad. He smiled, not out of pride, but reflection. Because truth was, he hadn't done it for headlines or applause. He did it because he knew what could have happened if he'd been anyone else. If he hadn't had a badge. If there were no cameras. If the story had gone unrecorded like so many others before him. That woman didn't call the police because she was scared of his dog. She called because she believed her fear was enough to summon the law. And for too long it was. But not anymore. Marcus looked out at the night and whispered, Not on my watch. Because real justice isn't about punishment. It's about prevention. And sometimes the strongest man in the room is the one who stands still and lets the truth do the talking. When someone weaponizes fear, truth must carry the louder voice. And when justice walks calmly, even liars learn to tremble.